I do want to add to that though. We're getting a lot of questions or feedback saying, hey, I'm trying to invoice and I can't find this particular order. Or I can't find an invoice, or I can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, the reason why some vendors are not able to do that is because we have 2 supplier IDs for your particular company, right? And so we here at the city have a team that we meet weekly to go through and try to merge those 2 numbers together. Now, we don't do it all at one time, right? And then we do take our time, because once you merge, guess what? We can't unmerge you. And we don't want pie in our face and say, hey, you screwed up. So we want to do our due diligence and review every supplier code you may have for your particular company, and then what is under that particular code you may have. So if you have a supplier code and you might believe that you are a duplicate, supply us with both of those codes or a code, and then we'll look on our end, right? Again, we notice, or we're getting some emails saying, hey, I've registered, but I can't see X, Y, and Z. So we definitely want you as a vendor to let us know what code you're actually doing business with the city, and then we'll try to merge that together. That way you wouldn't have any problems on your end, because if you're not able to see your particular order or anything, you're not able to invoice. Make sense? All right. So again, we're trying to do our due diligence and do the research and make sure that, again, we don't have pie in our face and put this out there and we have to recall it, or it is incorrect. All right. All right. So again, these are some of the benefits of having or being registered on iSupplier. Also, you're able to update your contact information. Again, no longer would you have to submit something to us, the city, saying, hey, this person is no longer there. Can you remove this person? Can you update our contact information or add an address or what have you? Now that's in your hand. You can do that as well. So I strongly suggest when you register and you log into iSupplier, look at all your locations, right? Look at the phone number. Look at your emails, because basically when you bid online, we're going to contact that particular email that's on file or that phone number. So if it's wrong, then that email or that communication will go to the wrong individual, and you'll miss out on some opportunities. So again, when you register, the first thing we strongly suggest is that you go in and look at all your information, your contact information. Okay? And again, this is real time. So you change it now, 2 seconds later, we'll get it. Okay? First time vendor registration, again, I'll show you what that actual site looks like and how to register, and then we'll have someone to speak on that. Existing vendors, there are some things that we will need from you, as well as new vendors. There are some things we will require for you in order for us to approve your registration, and so you can move forward. We strongly urge you that if you see anything that's out there for bid, do not wait till the last minute to register, because things may happen, right, during that registration. And if it's time for that bid to close, it's what you missed out on the opportunity. So again, we definitely recommend that you apply or register early enough in the process. Okay? And I'll get to this. So during some of our other workshops, we had questions regarding if my information is secure. According to our Department of Innovation Technology, the City Department of Innovation Technology, they assure us they're using the highest protocol in keeping your information secure as well as ours. So there's no breach, hopefully no breach, and your information getting out there on the web. Okay. So we at Procurement did a phased approach on rolling out different procurement types. Right. Earlier last year, we had the commodities and small orders. Later part of this year, I want to say October or September, October, we had our very first RFP to go out, right? And then was it a couple weeks ago, we had our very first construction bid to go out. And as you can see, it changed from when we first initially said we're going to roll out the various bid types. So we're commissioned again by the mayor to have all of this electronic by the end of the year. We just missed the mark on that. So, but by next year, we will have all of our solicitation types out there electronic. So what that means for you is that at some point, our commissioner will no longer be taking paper bids. So that's why we're strongly suggesting that you register for iSupplier. Okay? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over to the registration, Ms. Karen here, to speak about registration, and then I'll come back up from there.
Hi, I'm Karen, Canada.
Now go.
So iSupplier registration, it's really easy. If you're an existing vendor, you would go to the...
I'll go there, sorry. Microsite?
Right, go to the microsite, which is www.cityofchicago.org/eProcurement. So if you're an existing vendor, then you would click on login and registration.
Oh, sorry. Login registration.
So for existing vendor, it would actually send an email to eProc, www.cityofchicago/eProc support. And so you would just, I'd appreciate it if in that email if you say, I'm from XYZ company, my City of Chicago vendor code is 1234567. Makes it easier for me to find you and register you under the right vendor code. Excuse me. Also, if you're not an existing...
Let me click on that. I'll click on that.
Okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
Right, okay, so you would click the request iSupplier invitation, and it'll send an email, and that's where myself or Pam Walker-Smith will get it and respond to the invitation, do research and look you up and send you the invite. And usually you'll get an email back saying an invite has been sent. And so also something to remember, depending on your email, when you get the invite, it comes from workflow mailer. Sometimes it doesn't go directly to your inbox. It may show up in spam or junk mail. Okay, so if you're a new vendor, you click the new vendor registration.
I didn't want to click it because it's going to...
Okay, oh, okay.
Right.
So new vendor registration, you have like several forms to fill out. Basic information, your FEIN, address, contact person, email addresses, phone numbers. And you have to attach a PDF copy of your W-9 to the end of it, and everything has to match before it'll be approved. If everything matches and all the information is there, your registration will be approved and you'll have access to the iSupplier portal.
Is that it?
That's it. Okay. It's really simple. And if anybody needs help registering or information, I have cards available.
Can you state your information for people who are watching online?
Oh, Karen, Canada. My email address is Karen, Karen.Canada@cityofchicago.org.
Again, just to reiterate what Karen just said, thank you, Karen, for that. For vendors that already have a vendor code with the city, you will click on Request iSupplier Invitation, right? We want to invite you to register for iSupplier, right? The reason why you wouldn't do a new vendor registration is because you have an ID already. If you do that by chance, then you're creating a duplicate, which then we would have to go back and merge those two numbers, right? So again, you request for information with the information that Karen just mentioned, and then we will send you an invitation out. Also, again, check your spam because it may hit your spam because it will come from a workflow mailer email address. All right, and then for new vendors that don't have a vendor code or a supplier code, then you will click on the new vendor registration, fill out the form, attach your W-9, and then upon reviewing on our end, then we'll approve it, and then you can move forward in that. Okay? And excuse me from sitting down, so I just need to show you after you register. I just don't like sitting down, but my apologies for that while doing the workshop. So after you have received your approval, you have your username and log on, right? You went out to our microsite, right? And then you saw something that says current bid and solicitation. Then you went to see the eProcurement bid and sourcing solicitation opportunity. You would then click on that, right? It will take you to our abstract page. And what this is basically all the current active bids that we have out there right now. As you can see, we have our CDOT construction bid, and then we have our RFP, right? Here you see the solicitation number with a (1) or the RFP with a (9). Please make note of these numbers because you will need them later on when bidding. So the comma means that it's an addendum. Since we put this out on the street, there's been some update to the particular solicitation. And so, as you can see, for the construction, there's 1. And then for our RFP, there were 9 updates, addendums to this. Now, it could be a clarification on something based on the pre-bid that we may have. We had earlier on, and we want to clarify, but the system treats it all the same, right? It may have been a system glitch, and we had to clean that up and clarify to you, let you know there was no change. It was a system error, but the system sees it all as the same. So when you see a high number, it may be a legitimate high number. Know that you, as a vendor, one would have to acknowledge all 9 or 1 in order to move forward in the bidding process. Okay? All right. So again, it's a high level on what we currently have out there. Please be mindful of the dates, because when that date comes for the bid opening, you are not allowed. The system is going to shut off, and you will not be allowed to bid. So please reference the date. Be mindful of the dates and time. It's military time, so you'll have to calculate to Central Standard Time. Okay? So you're saying, hey, this looks interesting. Let's see what this is about. This is before you log in, all right? you will click on the detail of it. And here it will have the PDF. I won't click on that, the PDF of the construction. And the reason being is because we are now up to 1,300 pages for this construction bid, and it will take some time. So note, if you're wanting to bid on this particular construction bid and it takes a long time, no, it's working to compile that 1,300 pages, okay? No, just just wait for a little while and then it'll appear, okay? Let me just click, let's cross our fingers and that it will come up less than 5 minutes. But again, it is 1,300 pages, all right? So, you said, okay, I read or reviewed the particular solicitation. I'm interested in bidding in this on this construction. What do I do next? Well, now you're able to click on login. And since you got approved for your username and you reset your password, you will type that in here. And now I'm going to log in. So remember I said when you first get your login information, you to go and look at your contact information. Where do you go do that? You click on City of Chicago iSupplier portal with Invoice Creation. You click that. And then you click on your admin tab. Excuse me. Here is where you do your address book. You will click on your address book. This is where you will add all your addresses for your particular organization. Okay? Now, you may see some titles of your address name that says A, B, C, D, what have you. Please do not change that. That's something on our end that we need to reference with your particular contract. Okay? We're working with the developers to gray out that where you can't update that. You can update everything else except for that alpha, the letter. Okay? This is a fictitious company, but I just want to point that out. Okay? You also can add your contact information, so you can add more people if you want to provide them access to the iSupplier portal. This is where you would do that. All right? Okay. So now I checked all my admin functions. If I wanted to do orders or what have you, see what all the orders I had for my company, I'm able to do that. Later on, I'll go into another instance where I can show you what that looks like, and then I'll pass it on to Mr. Grayland so he can talk to you about invoicing. All right. So here, now I went through all of my housekeeping, I would say. I'm going to go back home. I want to now bid on that particular solicitation that I saw out there on the web, and I tracked the number, right? I kept note of the number. So I go to City of Chicago online bidding, sourcing, and then sourcing homepage. As you can see, I started or submitted bidding opportunities, right? I responded to that 608187, 1. As you can see, it says status of draft. That means I haven't submitted it yet, right? Here, my solicitation number 7, it says active. That means I submitted and it went on to where it needs to go, right? As you can see here for the status, it says resubmission required. That means by the time I submitted my bid on this particular solicitation, an addendum came out. And so now it's saying, hey, acknowledge that addendum, and if you wanted to change your bid, you can do so at this time and submit. Note that you're not, the last bid would be submitted then, right? So if you want to continue on and not get knocked out of your bidding, it is required that you acknowledge the addendum and then resubmit. So for a final submission of your bid. Okay? So you want at all times when you're bidding your status to say active. Okay? Again, it's in draft mode. It didn't go. Resubmission required means you need to acknowledge that addendum and you need to resubmit your bid. Okay? Even if you don't change your number, your bidding, just acknowledge that addendum and then hit submit. Okay? Now, say that you had started, which I started bidding, and you see it says draft mode. I want to go back in. I would go ahead and click on solicitation. But before I do that, say I never started bidding on this particular bid, right? How do I find it? I would go here under the search for open solicitation, select number, and then type in that number. And then I'll hit go. Right? And so the most recent one will appear. So again, from the abstract page here, I made note of this number, and now I'm ready to bid on it. So now what I do is I select the particular solicitation, and then I click on respond. Right? So now I'm in the solicitation, right? The bid. So I get to bid on this particular solicitation opportunity. So I put my information of whatever is asking me. I'm just going to do blah, blah right here. And here I would put in my EDS number. Right. And then here is where you would select yes or no based on what you attach. So right here is asking that these are requirements, asking you to supply me with joint ventures, blah, 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 or your performance bond, this and that. You will say yes or no, and hopefully it's yes, that you attach this. You will say yes, I attach all of these, right? I label them bid execution page or whatever, a signature, or reference, or certificate or insurance. You will label that what you attach it, and then you'll hit yes. Okay? These are all required fields, so it will not allow you to submit your bid unless you answer all of these questions. Okay? All right. Now, award criteria. We had questions, I believe, in our pre-bid regarding the award criteria for this construction. Right here is where we want you to add your calculated value. This field does not calculate for you. You will have to enter your calculated value manually here. Okay? So, after you have done all of that, on this particular page, it may throw an error, you will click on the lines. If it doesn't throw me, I might have to hit answer all of them now. Let's see. Okay, good. So you will click on the line, and here at the line level, you will put the pricing. Am I correct, ladies? You will put in the pricing here. Now, you will not be able to see the calculation at this point, but by the time you hit continue and next, it will give you the total price. And then that will be your total price for this particular bid. Okay? All right. Now, if you wanted to, say you're just responsible for lines 1 through 25, are you able to go back and finish the rest later? And the answer is yes. You can always save as draft. But keep in mind the date and time. It will lock you out when that date and time hits. Okay? I'm going to pause right here. Are there any questions that I need to address at this point? Okay, thank you. Sure. So, that is bidding. I didn't want to go through 150 lines. That will take a little time. But after you enter all your header information and all the lines information, you will click on the continue until you get to the very end of the page. And it's going to say, do you want to review? You say yes. We did have a question at our pre-bid, how do we print out our answers, what we submitted, right? At the end of that page as well, you'll be able to say, it's a button that's going to say printable view. At that time, you click on that and it will give you what you submitted. The entire solicitation along with your answer for your reference. Sure.
Will it let you submit and
You
not
hold on
everything?
a second, just because we're live, so I want to
Get
get your question.
sorry.
Will it let you submit even if all the fields aren't filled out?
So for this particular, great question. For this particular solicitation, we set it where every line has to be filled out, right? Where in the future, there may be some that we don't require that every line gets filled out and then you can submit it, right? But for this particular one, every line must be addressed. Great question. Are there additional questions at this time? Okay. So again, when you first get registered, again, for new, you'll hit on new registration. For existing, you will click on request for invitation, and then we'll approve you. Upon approval, you'll go to our abstract page, right? We make note of that number. We perform a search, and then we're able to respond, and now we're within the solicitation. Now, there's a feature in the solicitation. Say you have a question, right? How do you send that to, and I'm just going to save as draft right now. How do you send that to one of our procurement specialists? I'm not sure if it's going to give me that since I didn't go all the way through. But it is a online discussion feature where you can send us a question, the city or the procurement specialist that's handling your particular solicitation, a question. Now, we did have another question earlier on from our pre-bid regarding the takeout list. The takeout list, how do you get on the takeout list? You'll be able to do that by either
Contact from bid and bond. You can fax or email. It's still the regular way. If you just view and download the solicitation, you would send us a copy of your business card by fax or email. And our fax number is 312-744.
Okay. Oh.
To be added to the bid opportunity takeout list, the takeout list for the City of Chicago bid and bond room, you would fax or email a copy of your business card, and the fax number is 312-744-5611, or email us at bid, B-I-D, bond, B-O-N-D, at cityofchicago.org. And in the email or fax, please specify the specification number.
Thank you, Tish. How do we know the specification number? For all of our solicitation, our specification number will be in the title right here. Okay? So you will supply bid and bond with your copy of your card and the information along with this specification number. Okay? Another question that we had during our bid and bond, our pre-bid of this particular bid was, does sub have to register in iSupplier? And that answer is no. They're not required to. Okay? So now we know how to bid, right? We register in iSupplier, we know how to bid. Now we would like to know how to invoice. And this is for the delegates. Graylin?
Good afternoon. I wasn't ready, but whatever. Yes, ma'am. The same login section for the bidding is also where the invoice creation button is. It's on your home page. Are there any delegate agencies in here? Because your invoicing may be different than
Okay.
I can't help you.
Okay. Well, if there's no delegate, then you don't have to speak to that point. So, yeah. So, okay. So, I'm going to sign into one of our testing environments, so that way you get an idea what you will see if you had invoicing, order, a particular contract number from the city, right? For in production, and I'm in production here, I was just only bidding under this fictitious supplier. But now I want to go and show you what you actually would see. So I'm going to do that by going here. I think it's here. Excuse me. No, here. So I'm going to go to the invoice creation here. Oh, jeez. I still don't have anything here. Not sure if they wiped all my data out. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here are all my orders, right? And order meaning contracts, right? So these are all my PO. Was for the type, of course I've been testing of a storm here, and then the amount. So you'll be able to see that. If I invoice off of that, you'll be able to go to your invoice and it'll show that if it's paid, if it's in process. So it'll give you a status on what's going on. But I just wanted to show you what it actually looks like, or what you will actually see. Okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry.
Hold on, come in.
Thank you. So if you actually you prepare an invoice and you actually want to submit it, so where do you go?
Oh, sure. Great question. Well, DPS haven't started this process yet. The delegate has, but you go, and I'm not sure if it's set up for me yet, but I think it says invoice. Invoice. Create invoice here. So you go under your home page, invoice, and then create invoice. And then you will type in that invoice number, the date, or what have you, and then or you hit go here. Create an invoice with PO, but I don't have anything, so you'll put that number there and then hit go. But again, when we roll this out for our department and other departments other than delegates, we will definitely have information out there for you how to do it, and then a UPK, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute, where it shows you step by step on how to do it. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Are there additional questions before I go into the UPK and the help aid? Okay. All right. So, if you forgot anything I talked about today, I hope you did, but if you did, you can go to our microsite and you'll click on online training materials, and here is where it will show you step by step on how to do this, right? If you click on, don't click on it though. If you click on the title, it will bring up a PDF document. If you click on the video, it will show the video. It's not voiceover, of course, it's just video, and then you hit enter to advance it. Okay? So any subject you want to know about, invoicing here, purchase history, purchase order, how to submit a response construction versus non-construction, how to print your solicitation document. It shows you step by step on what to do once you get logged into our system. Okay? So again, we have the online materials for non-delegates, and then we have the delegate tab, but we don't have any delegates in here, but they have a tab where they have information for their vendors to know about. Because they do things a little slightly different than we do. But it is the same system. Okay? And then, again, under current bids and solicitation opportunities, you will, find our electronic bids out there, and then you also will find our paper bids out there as well. Again, we're not completely electronic yet, but we're getting there. Okay? And then I want to stress this, that if you have more than one supplier number, be patient with us, because we're merging that, and we just don't want to just do it without doing our research, and then you'll be screaming at us. But supply us with both vendor numbers, and preferably the one you most doing business with, you have the most contracts with. Okay? And any possible variations of your company's name, because I've seen it all, right? Doing the vendor merge, I think Northwestern was in there about 10 times, various ways. So we definitely want to make sure we clean that up so that you have a better profile right? While you're logging into the system, and eliminate the issues of you invoicing and what contract is under what vendor code. Okay? Is there any additional things that all right. Are there any questions that I can address? Anything I can show you over? Sure. Yes.
Okay, so I work for a very large institution, and
Okay.
we have a lot of different departments,
Okay.
and a little bit like this Northwestern you're talking about.
Okay.
And so, can all departments, let's say a department wants to put in a bid, do we have access to another department's bid? Or do we each have a number? Does a person who have an access can just modify anything?
So that depends, right? So, say for instance, for Northwestern, right? They had 10 different supplier codes, but they were only doing business maybe under the 2 supplier code. And so what I did was we merged all 10 to that one survivor, right? And so under that survivor, you can see all of those other departments, right? Because they have physician group, Northwestern Physician Group, and Northwestern blah, blah, blah. And their locations. So the locations, which I believe I showed earlier, it'd say A, location 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, B, location blah, 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 blah. And it all shows up under the one. So if you wanted to do business, continue to do business, you'll have that one number, and then you bid or what have you.
But let's say person in pediatrics.
Okay.
A person in one department,
Mm-hmm.
like pediatrics, can they change the bid of general medicine?
No.
Can they access it?
No, so that's if you give them permission, but then they would have to, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they would have to do their own. So they wouldn't start, say you started on that bid, right? Can someone within pediatric come and change that bid? No. It's linked to you, who you started, right? The person who started the bid. So if you want pediatric input, then you will have to get that offline and then able to add it in.
Just to clarify, my name is Benjamin Ho, Deputy Procurement Officer. We did receive questions about this at our pre-bid last time as well, about having teams of people work on a bid. Unfortunately, the system only links it, like Felicia said, to one person. So while different people can gather the pricing and the attachments and et cetera, there has to be just one sign-in for the person who is submitting the bid. So there's not the facility to have multiple logins for the company working on the same bid. So that is a system limitation at this point. So please make a note of it when deciding who should be the login. You can have as many logins as you want, but whoever starts that bid has to see it through to completion, even if there's different parts being done by different people.
Thank you, Ben. So I hope that answered your question. Okay. So again, I would, for those that are collaborating with users that's outside or in within the same organization, but it's not in the system that need input, I would recommend that you collaborate, and then that one person who actually started the bid or what have you, go back in and then finish the bid out. Okay. Are there additional questions? Yes, sir.
This goes back to where you create your supplier, iSupplier.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I put in all that information, and then we can see invoices and payments, and is that? Can the public see? Can anybody see that?
No.
Okay, so that is locked to
for you.
for our login or whatever.
Exactly. That is for you and your company. Yep. Great question, though. Are there additional questions? Things I need to go over again? You want to see? Okay. Now we're going to rush to get registered, right? Right? I don't think you guys, did you raise your hand saying you registered last time? Okay, all right. So we're going to rush to get our registration because we have lots of bids coming out there. I think we have about 10 in the hopper about to go out for publication. So I don't want you to fall behind and not being able to bid on those. Okay? Sure.
Can you just go over about the December 11th class, what that is again?
So what that is our city department that deals with delegate agencies. They do a workshop like this, but they go into more detail pertaining to the delegate vendors. The vendors is dealing with them as far as delegate. So no. So yeah, they go from soup to nuts. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for your time and happy holidays. All right.